I used to think silence was harmless, that it simply filled the spaces between moments. But the night my parents showed up at my door, I learned silence can feel like a warning, like the stillness right before glass shatters. My name is Rowan Vale. And the night this story begins, I had just received the email I'd worked nearly a decade for my promotion. Senior strategist. A salary that felt unreal. A milestone I built with exhaustion, missed holidays, and a kind of stubborn grit no one ever applauded. I didn't even get 5 minutes to celebrate. The pounding on my apartment door started so suddenly I thought something was on fire. When I opened it, my parents, Serena and Malcolm, were standing there with expressions so forced they looked painful. A lopsided grocery store cake balanced in my mother's hands, its frosting already smudged on the plastic lid. They didn't congratulate me. They didn't hug me. They didn't even ask how I felt. The very first words out of my mother's mouth were, "So, how much is the raise?" And I swear, I felt something in my ribs twist. And my father stepped inside like he owned the place, eyes sweeping over my apartment like he was appraising a house he planned to sell. I'd seen that look my whole life. Calculation disguised as parental concern. That I told them my salary, stupidly hoping for pride. Instead, my father sat down, crossed his arms and said, "Good. Then starting next month we'll take 50%. It's only fair, considering everything we sacrificed." Sacrificed. That word had been their favorite tool. A hammer they swung anytime they wanted something. Gas money, rent, emotional labor, obedience. Growing up, every meal had a price tag. Every ride was a debt. Every compliment was a loan I was expected to repay. But that night, something in me refused to bow. I tried to keep my tone steady. "That's not how this works." My mom rolled her eyes, slipping right into the performance she reserved for church pity or family reunions. "Don't be dramatic, Rowan. Families help each other." "Help," I echoed. "Not drain." My father leaned forward, voice dropping into that old, familiar command. "We raised you. You wouldn't be standing here without us. You owe us." Oh God, that word tasted like rust. That I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply stood up, slow and deliberate, because something inside me had finally stopped shrinking. That I walked to the kitchen counter and pulled out an envelope I prepared weeks earlier for an entirely different reason. Thick, sealed and notarized, I set it on the table between you. And my mother grabbed for it like a magpie spotting something shiny. But I placed a hand over hers, not harsh, just firm. A boundary I'd never set so clearly before. "Before you open that," I said, "you need to understand something. You don't get to walk into my home and demand half my life." My father scoffed. "It's just money." "No," I said. "It's control." My phone buzzed on the counter. I picked it up. "Is it time?" my friend and attorney Liana asked. "Yes." "Then don't back down. Let them show themselves." When I hung up, the air in the room shifted. My mother felt it. Her smile tightened. "What plan, Rowan?" "You'll see." She tore open the envelope. Her confidence evaporated in seconds. It wasn't money. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't surrender. It was a legal declaration she and my father had signed themselves years ago. One that protected me from their debts and confirmed, in writing, that they had no financial claim over me. No right to my income. No leverage. My mother's face drained of color. My father blinked like the words were rearranging themselves. This isn't real," my mother whispered. "It's very real," I said. "Your signatures are at the bottom." "We didn't sign this," my father barked. "You did. You insisted on it. Remember? You said it would keep me safe." I tilted my head. "Now you want to pretend it doesn't exist." For the first time in my life, they had no script ready. My father pushed the papers away. "This means nothing. We'll take this to court." "You already did," I said. The room froze. "What do you mean?" my mother asked, voice cracking. "You filed a parental support petition. I received the notice. I also saw the fake messages you submitted. The ones pretending I promised you monthly payments." I shrugged. "You should have triple-checked the phone number. One digit was wrong." My mother choked on a breath. We can explain. You'll have a chance," I said. "In front of the judge." 3 sharp buzzes echoed through the apartment. My parents whipped their heads toward the door. I didn't move. When I opened it, Liana stepped inside with an officer behind her. Calm. Sharp. Prepared. "Evening," Liana said. "We have documents for the Valles." My father stumbled back. You can't do this. We're family. Family, Liana said, is not a shield for fraud. My mother erupted into frantic, theatrical sobs. She planned this. She trapped us. That envelope contains a legal declaration you both asked for, Liana replied. You cannot claim ignorance now. The officer read them the formal notice. My father's knees buckled. My mother covered her face. And for the first time in my life, the apartment felt breathable. But the real reckoning happened in court. My parents sat hunched and pale, performing heartbreak so loudly that even the judge looked exhausted. Liana presented their fabricated messages, their hidden assets, their lies, and finally, the testimony of the last person I expected to walk through those doors. My grandmother, Evelyn Vale, she walked with a cane, but her voice was sharp enough to pierce steel. Rowan owes these two nothing, she said. They took more than they ever gave. She built her life alone. My mother gasped, betrayed. My grandmother didn't look at her. Blood is not an excuse, she said. Truth matters more. The judge dismissed their petition and fined them for submitting false evidence. A small consequence for years of manipulation, but enough to crack the shell they hid behind. After the hearing, I walked out into the sunlight, inhaled deeply, and felt something unfamiliar. Space, real space, space that belonged to me. I moved into a tiny apartment downtown, one with mismatched thrift store furniture and sunlight that warmed the floor in the afternoon. For the first time in my life, every corner felt like freedom. Days later, I received a card from my grandmother, just one line. You chose yourself. I'm proud. But life always comes with shadows. A week after that, my grandmother passed peacefully in her sleep. She left me her small home outside the city. I sold it and donated the money to women rebuilding their lives after financial abuse. Because I knew that fight. I lived it. One evening, I stood by the river, watching the city lights scatter gold across the water. For the first time, I wasn't replaying old arguments or waiting for the next guilt-soaked message. I was simply living, breathing mine. And I realized the envelope I'd handed my parents that night contained more than a document. It held my first unapologetic boundary. If you've ever had to choose peace over guilt, if you've ever had to walk away from the people who should have protected you, tell me your story in the comments. And if you want more stories about courage, survival, and reclaiming your life, you know what to do. Subscribe.